Hi folks. Someone asked a question recently. I can't immediately find it, so it was probably on one of the other channels. But it was such a good one that I'm probably going to cross-post this response. They asked, where do I buy my components? As usual, this is me you're dealing with, so the answer is not straightforward. It depends on a number of factors. One of them being the obvious, my experience with a particular seller or vendor. There's also my shopping ethics, and also the risk factor and my personal experience with a particular component. If it's something which I'm not used to dealing with, then I'm more likely to choose a sales channel which will back me up if something has gone wrong or is not as it should be. Yeah, that means that sometimes I'm paying over the odds, but it's all part of the rich pageant. Now, yes, eBay is part of that shopping pattern. One thing that I've asked eBay for is the ability to block a seller from my search results. So if I've had a particular bad experience with a vendor that I can, I don't even want to see results from them, because it could end up that they appear to have a good deal, the handle is so obscure that I've forgotten what it is, and I wind up ordering from them again and repeating the same bad experience. eBay doesn't really support that. If it's a relatively common item like a computer case or something, then I'll shop harder and wider. I've learned to try and plan ahead so I can order things from further afield or with slower shipping times, so I'm saving money. The attitude of wanting everything tomorrow, it all adds up and costs a small fortune in the end. So I've even been known to buy things from the US, even though it takes a long time, but even because I know that if I get clobbered for import duty, it's still cheaper than buying it in the UK. And there's all sorts of bits and pieces. So I will put some vendors in the hoo-ha bar below this. But typically the components that I'm buying these days are relatively few. They're typically, a good chunk of things these days are turning out to be discrete boxes. The only components these days that I'm buying are motherboards, processors, memory. That's about it. When you're talking about things like power supplies, there's not too much, or cases, there's not too much that can happen in the way of mistreatment. Sorry. So, yeah. I don't always buy first hand either. I'll typically buy refurbished, especially when it comes to things like laptops. I mean, the situation is that your average laptop will only last about 3 or 4 years. If you decide to spend about £300 or £400 on a laptop, what you can get is not going to give you very good performance. On the other hand, a laptop with decent performance is going to cost like £1,000 plus. So for something that's only going to last 3 or 4 years, for me personally, with the UK laws behind me, buying refurbished from a UK seller is sometimes worth the risk. The only times I've been caught out, very rarely, with equipment that hasn't lasted or has just gone beyond the 1 year basic warranty, then I'm into consumer territory or something. But Generally speaking, if I've only paid about £300 for a laptop, even if I went through, and it died after a year, even if I went through all the consumer side of things, I know that the argument would likely say, yeah, you've already had a year's worth of usage out of this, therefore we're going to cut the amount of money that you're going to get back by that. And that's sort of fair during a deal. The only big risk is something that's DOA or conks out within about 1 to 2 months of buying it, and that's happened very rarely. So it depends on the amount of risk that I'm willing to take. Some of the sellers, there's even some big sellers in the UK that I've been a customer of for many, many years, and they've done the dirty on me in my eyes, and I won't use them again. Unfortunately, thanks to Fleabay, they've started trading on eBay, and I've been caught out once or twice by ordering cases, and when I've opened the box, the invoice, hang on a minute, you know, so I need to pay more attention. I really would love eBay to enable me to block sellers even from the search results, you know. Sorry. Coffee is still processing. This is my coffee mug, by the way. For those who haven't seen it, I like my coffee on the dark side. I did throw an idea at Disney, which was a white mug with Luke and Leia and coffee makes me rebellious. Didn't hear anything. There you go. But yeah, some of these suppliers do actually know me by name, unfortunately. Yeah, especially those where something has gone wrong. Typically, the true test of a company's mettle, I've found, has been when something does go wrong and what the company puts behind putting it right. And this is one reason why eBuyer is well off my list. You know, I had a problem with them, and I even had the engineer's report that said yes, it was a failure from the manufacturer, and still they were complete arseholes. Avoid eBuyer at all costs, whatever you do. Another one was Scan Computers. I avoid them. I was a good customer of them for many years, until I had a hard drive. It was a solid state drive. I put it in a netbook, and I was having problems booting. Now I thought initially it was for a voltage issue. I thought that the netbook just wasn't giving enough power to fire up the SSD. This is in the early days of SSDs for me. I didn't have that much experience. But a few months down the line, I didn't really use it. Some months down the line, I decided to put it in a desktop after a rebuild. And again, I had the same problem, which clearly pointed to the SSD being faulty. However, they turned around and said, well, you've had so much use, so we're going to knock so much off. And I said, hang on a minute, this thing is faulty and was faulty from the day it arrived. I just didn't know it. We're not dealing, you know, I haven't used it, I haven't been able to use it. And the argument went on, and because they had them, my money was in their pockets. Yeah. It's when stuff goes wrong that you find out these things. But Scan Computers are also trading on eBay, so watch them, you know. Or if you do get anything, get something that can't go wrong and they can't argue over, you know. That was a shame, because I've been, you know, when I totaled it up, the amount of money over the years that I'd spent with them was like 5 figures. That's a lot of cash. And at that point, I think I was spending roughly £1,000 a year with them, or more. I've lost track. It was quite a considerable amount of my wages was going into their pockets for various bits and pieces. I've since changed my behaviour. I don't spend that much on IT now, full stop. I'm a bit more clever in what I'm buying and where I'm spending. which is why you don't see very much in the way of new hardware videos from me. Yeah, it's there's one called Morgan Computers. I'm getting a chunk of stuff from them now, especially on the refurbished side. They'll clearly specify R1, R2, what sort of state it's in. The prices are reasonable. When things went wrong, you know, they sorted them. And even though something didn't actually go wrong, I bought something at one price, and then shortly after they rated a discount. And I said, look, I buy it at this, and I come home to an email saying this. How do you think I feel? And even with that, they stepped up to the plate. So yeah, I will buy from other places like Overclockers UK. I will buy from them. Some stuff I get off eBay, and one of the things that I'll do is if it's a seller and it's a good rating, I'll buy, because typically I haven't got any here. They're all at home. You'll get offers with them for codes to save on shipping and the rest of that stuff. Those are worth keeping. And if you build a relationship with a seller, and it depends on what you're buying, really. I mean, sometimes, like for example, the carbon turntable that I bought recently. It was on Amazon, and I tracked down the UK seller, and it was for the same price, but I bought it from the UK seller, yeah, purely to put more money in their pocket and to cut Amazon out of the loop. That's my shopping ethics. So I will go a little bit of an extra mile to try and track down further down the line and take out the middleman. As it was, it actually paid me. The seller themselves didn't have an issue. It was the distributor that has an issue. They promised me next day delivery, and the distributor mucked it up. But the seller, even though it was the distributor's fault, not theirs, they stepped up to the plate, and I got a bit of money back. Yeah, that's what you call taking care of the customer. I've forgotten the, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but it will be in the hoo-ha bar. Yeah, so the one thing that became clear to me when I looked back over my spending, because I keep accounts, this thing has just let me know that I'm potentially hitting a problem on a recording time or something, I don't know. I think I'm going to have power issues on this phone. But anyway, long story short, I know that just going for the quick option is costing me money. By doing a bit more research, I'm saving money. Okay, sometimes I'm having to wait longer, sometimes I'm getting next day delivery from a supplier further down the chain, which is better service than I'd get through someone like Amazon, you know, and I'm saying, you know, in some cases I'm saving money, like a flash gun from an authorized reseller cost me 2/3 of the price that it was going for on Amazon, you know. So shop hard, shop wise, shop smart, don't go for the easy click option, and patience will pay, you know. We haven't got money to throw around like we used to. I know I'm buying some big ticket items for this investigation into audio, but I'm shopping hard, you know, to hopefully bring you some good results on that one. There's some interesting stuff, some very interesting lessons that I've learned. The hard way, as usual, but it hasn't cost me too much. That's the important thing. So yeah, there will be some places in the hoo-ha bar. Catch you later. Bye for now.